Hello, everyone. Welcome to Weekly VOC News. My name is Alvin, and tonight we'll bring you the latest and the most significant news around Chinland this week. Here are tonight's news headlines. The Chin Human Rights Organization, CHRO, has filed a legal case in Timor-Leste calling for an investigation into war crimes and crimes against humanity committed by Myanmar's military junta. In Chinland, the Chinland Defense Force Hakka, CDF Hakka, has announced a corruption blacklist naming more than 500 individuals and companies linked to the military regime. Those listed include deputy regional commanders, strategic commanders, chief ministers, and related government officials operating under the terrorist military. Along the Indian-Myanmar border, protests have taken place in Mizoram state against the Indian central government's plan to construct border fencing. The demonstrations were led by the Mizo Zirlai Paul MZP and the Zo Reunification Organization Zoro. We'll bring you more news along with other significant developments. The Chin Human Rights Organization, CHRO, has filed a legal complaint in Timor-Leste calling for an investigation into war crimes and crimes against humanity committed by Myanmar's military junta. According to a CHRO statement dated January 12, the organization submitted the complaint to the Public Prosecutor's Office of Timor-Leste on behalf of victims, urging authorities to initiate a formal investigation. CHRO Executive Director Salai Zauk said the case file includes multiple grave incidents, including the gang rape of a pregnant woman, as well as the mass killing of 10 civilians, among them a journalist and a 13-year-old child. The case also documents the deliberate killing of one Christian pastor and 3 deacons, as well as a severe airstrike on a civilian hospital carried out without distinction between civilian and military targets. The attack reportedly killed 4 medical staff and 4 patients. Repeated attacks on Christian churches are also included in the case. CHRO stated that because Timor-Leste recognizes universal jurisdiction, its courts have the authority to pursue accountability for serious international crimes committed in Myanmar. Under the principle of universal jurisdiction, crimes can be prosecuted regardless of where they occurred or the nationality of the victims and perpetrators, CHRO explained. The documented crimes took place in Chinland, where the majority of the population is Christian. The Myanmar Accountability Project is also supporting efforts to advance the case in Timor-Leste. CHRO further reported that a delegation led by Salai Zauk met with President Jose Ramos Horta at the Presidential Palace in Delhi on January 14, holding a 1-hour discussion and presenting detailed briefings on the military's widespread and brutal violence across Chinland and Myanmar. CDF Hakka blacklists over 500 individuals and companies for corruption. The Chinland Defense Force Hakka CDF Hakka, has announced a corruption blacklist targeting more than 500 individuals and companies linked to Myanmar's military regime in Chinland. According to the statement, between 2021 and 2025, military-affiliated officials and companies submitted fake documents and staged photographs for tender projects without carrying out any actual work. With the alleged involvement of bank staff, they reportedly misappropriated over 83.6 billion jets in public funds. Companies named in the investigation include those linked to a deputy regional commander, a strategic commander, military officers, the chief minister, PSOs, the construction ministry, border affairs officials, and municipal authorities. CDF Hakka estimates the total number of implicated entities at around 540 companies. CDF Hakka stated that all organizations and individuals who harm public interests through corruption will now be treated as special targets. Those named have been officially designated as legitimate targets. The group warned that if the listed parties fail to respond within 15 days of the announcement, all their assets in Hakka Township will be considered confiscated and they will be banned from conducting business or movement within the township. CDF Hakha added that investigations are ongoing into other organizations and individuals not yet listed. Any further findings will be publicly disclosed, followed by effective and decisive action. In opposition to Indians' plan to construct fencing along the India-Myanmar border, protests were held in Mizoram state led by the Mizo, Zirlaipol, MZP, and Zo Reunification Organization, Zoro. The peaceful demonstration took place on January 16 at 11 a.m. in front of Vanapa Hall in Aizawl, the state capital. MZP President Dr. C. Laram Ruata said the Indian government's plan to build a border fence would divide brotherly Mizo and Shin communities, calling it unacceptable. He explained that this concern prompted the protests and warned that if no meaningful response follows, opposition to the plan will continue to the very end. Protesters collectively demanded that the border fencing plan between Chinland and Mizoram be withdrawn, vowing continued resistance if the central government fails to reverse its decision. India plans to fence more than 1,600 kilometers of the border after abolishing the Free Movement Regime (FMR). Construction has already begun along parts of the Manipur border. At the International Court of Justice (ICJ), Gambia's lawyer Arslan Suleiman presented evidence implicating extremist monks, including Diragu Siaro and U Wiratu, in the genocide committed against the Rohingya by Myanmar's military led by Min Aung Hlaing. During hearings that began on January 12 in The Hague, Netherlands, Gambia submitted testimony showing how extremist monks affiliated with Mabata, including and encouraged violence against the Rohingya. According to the presentation, during the early phase of the killings in 2016, Uwiradu met with military officers in northern Rakhine State, allegedly with the support of Min Aung Hlaing, to promote genocide actions. Gambia's legal team also stated that on January 4, 2023, the military leader awarded Uwiratu the Thiri Pianchi title, claiming he had served the national interest. Diragu was also accused of preaching that killing non-Buddhists does not constitute wrongdoing or moral wrongdoing, according to testimony presented to the court. Gambia filed the genocide case at the ICJ in 2019, accusing Myanmar's military of committing genocide during so-called clearance operations in Rakhine State in 2017. The hearings on the Rohingya genocide case are scheduled to continue from January 12 to January 29, lasting over 2 weeks. The United States House of Representatives have approved a bill that includes $121 million in support for Myanmar's democracy movement. The bill passed on January 14 with 341 votes in favor and 79 against. The funding is part of a broader $50 billion national security and foreign affairs package, with the Myanmar allocation included under the Burma Act. The $121 million will provide non-lethal assistance to ethnic armed organizations and PDF forces resisting the military, support certain NUG operations, and deliver humanitarian aid to civilians affected by conflict. Additional support will cover political prisoners, civil society organizations, independent media, and documentation of military atrocities. Although approved by the House, the bill must still pass the Senate and receive presidential approval before it takes effect. Nearly 800 women killed by military violence in 2025. The Burma Women's Union (BWU) reports that nearly 800 women were killed in 2025 due to Myanmar military airstrikes and ground attacks. Between January 1st and December 31st, 2025, BWU documented the deaths of 792 women nationwide, attributing the majority to airstrikes, which accounted for 621 deaths. Other causes included artillery attacks, 102, extrajudicial killings, 39, landmines, 13, arson killings, 6, conflict-related sexual violence, 5, denial of medical treatment, 3, and gunshot wounds, 3. Among the deceased were 154 girls under the age of 18 and 5 pregnant women. BW also reported 815 women injured due to airstrikes, artillery fire, landmines, and other human rights violations. The highest number of women killed was recorded in Sagaing region, which is 217, followed by Mandalay region 123, Rakhine State 119, Shan State 81, Magui region 69, and Chinland 8. You have been listening to the VOC Weekly News Program. We will see you again next week. Thank you for listening and have a great week.